Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share yet another update on my experience with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. The focus of today's video will be on software, but of course, as usual, I'll rant about the phone in general. So $1,000, nearly $1,000 US, gets you this beautiful piece of tech. By the way, for those of you wondering, I've got the Spec Presidio clear case on it, and I also have the Invisible Shield glass curved screen protector on there. Separate videos for those, another day, another time. Focusing on the phone itself. I said today is about software, and the Note 8 is all about that S Pen, right? I mean, where would it be without the pen? In fact, that's really the identity of this phone. Air Command and what the S Pen experience, how it differentiates this device from not only everything else on the market, but even the S8 Plus that so many people are comparing this to and saying, hey, it's basically just an S8 Plus with a pen and a smaller battery. And think whatever you want, but this thing is a beast. It outperforms it in everything I've seen, even in battery life, in spite of the fact that it has a lower capacity battery, believe it or not. And I'm not on any kind of Kool-Aid. So let's go ahead and start out with the S Pen. Again, really the identity of this 6.3-inch multitasking, multimedia beast, 8-core processor, 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, the 6.3-inch Super AMOLED display, the most beautiful screen in the business, the subtle curve. Yes, it has this long, almost like 21:9 aspect ratio, which you never necessarily expected in a device, but it's really the culmination of, in my opinion, mobile tech, unlike what the Apple promises with the iPhone X. This is really it, and nothing to hide here. So let's start with creating a note, the most basic thing that the Note can actually literally do. And so it even, besides giving you the feedback to make it feel like a pen and paper, it also makes a sound to resemble exactly that. You can go ahead and erase that, save it, expand it, minimize it, undo, or just close it out, discard it. Exactly what I did there. Next, let's jump into Smart Select. This is not a new feature, but still a great one. You have the ability to select either a rectangle capturing field, lasso, or oval, or create an animated GIF. All unique things. So if we stick with the rectangle, and let's say, well, I have to do it already, I capture the following icons. It'll now ask me if I want to auto-select. By auto-selecting, it only decided to literally select the icons. You can also do a text extraction. You can see it's asking me what application I want to do that text extraction with. And then you have pin to screen, which does exactly that. It's now basically a floating icon. So if I find something really interesting or just something I like that I want to throw on here for customization purposes, I can. I can also get rid of it fairly easily. You can make it full screen, minimize it, boom, it's gone. Moving on, we've got Screen Write, exactly what it sounds like. Excuse my penmanship. So I can now share this with anyone, edit it, erase it, change the different stylus, pen really, from fountain, anywhere from a fountain, ink pen to highlighter, whatever I want. The actual color, very easily changed. You can see, kind of spray painting the background in a sense. It's just a cool feature that it's been around. Nothing new. Let's go ahead and discard that. Let's jump next to the Live Message, which is a brand new feature here on the Note 8, which essentially creates an animated message from whatever you write. So let's hope I don't run out of real estate. And again, excuse the handwriting. Actually, don't excuse it. I don't care. Who am I kidding? A little bit of processing. You can then share this. Now, this is a little bit more of the shits and giggles, cutie crap stuff that we don't need, but this is a phone for everybody, right? Not just for one group of people, and that's the way things should be. And I think it is a cool feature. Anyone I've sent one of these notes to has thought it was cool, and that's because no other phone does it. And just like the dual cameras that this camera has, that this phone has on the back, the two 12 megapixel cameras, one wide angle, one not, one optical zoom capable up to 2x, the other, of course, the wide angle not capable. 4K video capture on here that is rumored to go up to 60 frames per second at some point, even though right now it's at 30. All these things are great. That 8 megapixel front-facing camera being able to shoot QHD as well as full HD video, another nicety. Also, you can pull, I believe, 9 megapixel stills from the 4K video that you shoot with the camera. The fingerprint scanner is what it is. I mean, fingerprint scanners are kind of par for the course at this point. In terms of other S Pen things, Translate, the translation feature being really one of the most, I think, significant. You can see right here at the top of the screen we have English to Spanish. You can also change that Spanish to English. You can pick any language you want pretty much in the world, which is incredibly cool. And then as soon as you hover over anything, once you've got this active, it's going to tell you how to translate that word. So let me go ahead and switch that back so it's English to Spanish. And you can see when I hover over phone, it says telefono. It'll actually also tell you how to pronounce it if you touch on the speaker. So very cool. You can do this with any text while you're browsing the web. Really a great feature in my opinion, and one of the strongest elements of what the S Pen has to offer. Really a very good application of the processing power and the TouchWiz environment, and again, the identity that the Note has that is unique. Of course, you can use things like Google Translate, but nothing as seamless and as intuitive as what we're using here. Now, Bixby Vision is another cool application. I know I said in my first video that Bixby is crap, but the reality is here, Bixby Vision will allow you to take anything from the web, any content. You see it's got just like a floating eyeball, and it will try to interpret that, either to find you related content, whether it's images or shopping. Now, interestingly enough, shopping is a focus, but again, it's all about the visual. It also has this capability in the camera mode, which I'll get to when I get to the camera. Since I'm not only covering the S Pen in this video, it is a complete tour, or as complete as I can give you as things stand today. But the whole premise here is that Bixby wants to be more than just your standard run-of-the-mill assistant, and it does do a fairly good job. Hi, Bixby. Lower screen brightness to 50%.
Done. It's now at 50.
Now, of course, I couldn't do this thanks for the experience points. You know, that's what I need in life, Bixby experience points. Now, I couldn't do that with any other phone. You know, as much as I love the Pixel XL and know that Google's coming out with another that's going to be great as well, and there's a lot to be said for having that stock native experience, always having the latest software. You're just not getting that out of the Google Home Assistant. Let's get real. So the Google Home Assistant, great for getting general information, as well as a lot of other things, but you're not going to be able to control the device the way you are with Bixby, and that's what's unique. You can unlock your phone with Bixby, a lot of things. It's pretty much limitless in terms of the potential, but it is, again, a work in progress. And we do have a dedicated Bixby button right here on the left side under the volume rocker, for those of you that are wondering. I haven't remapped it yet. I still have the ability. Now, back to the S Pen. I deviated enough. You have the ability to view all of your notes. You also have the coloring capability. Now, Bixby Vision is still going, so I may as well just do something with Bixby Vision for you. You see how now it's creating a capture box. So basically, if we were looking at anything on the internet, you know, food, electronics, whatever it would be, it would, you know, take whatever you had captured in that box and then give you, again, relevant information pertaining to that item. And you can jump right into the settings and you can see shopping, images, text, QR codes. It's basically Google Goggles, but on steroids with a much brighter brain and hardware to support it. It's my best way of summing up what Bixby Vision is really all about. In addition to that, we have and the ability to view all of our notes that are existing. And then I've added coloring. You can add shortcuts, as you can see right here. On the right-hand side, we've got all of the already launched or preset applications to launch alongside Air Command, whether it's from pulling out the S Pen or hitting the button right here on the S Pen itself. But then you can customize that. So they have the magnifying glass. If you want to use that, you can add that. And they also have glance. So if I go back, those are really the apps that are optimized. If I go to magnify, this is something where if you need reading glasses, this is going to help you in a big way. This is magnifying at 150%. You can change that right here, go all the way up to 300, and now you're really magnifying. So anyone who needs reading glasses, this is a great feature. Certainly not for everyone, but I could see why this would be very good to have. Instead of pulling out your reading glasses, you could just employ this. So definitely something nice to have. I don't need it, but I know there are people that do. Glance, it's another feature that I think not everyone is going to use, but it's all about building what Air Command really can do and offer. And right now, this is as fleshed out as it's ever been, and I imagine it's only going to get better, as it has with every generation other than the Note 7, where we had a failure to launch, so to speak. Explosive phones, as we all know. Now, S Pen aside, because there's really not that much else to show you, I'm going to go ahead and dock this thing, which is a little bit more difficult in any of the cases out there that make that recessed area even more recessed. Let's go ahead and jump into some regular software. In terms of applications, you can see I've got a lot of stuff here. Well, not a lot, but a decent amount of stuff installed. Ring, Hangout, Sonos, Nest, Hue. That's because, my home was destroyed by Hurricane Matthew. I'm finally back in it, and I've made as many things smart as possible, as you might have imagined, considering the content that I host here on my channel, which is all out of personal interest and not driven by any sponsors. This is a homegrown channel. Exactly that. And it will stay that way. That's something I can assure you. In terms of applications that are stock, basically you, of course, have your Google Suite. Samsung does give you their own internet browser, their own file browser, PenUp. I didn't get into that with the pen. I should have. And basically it's a coloring book. And I can demonstrate that even though I put the S Pen away already. I forgot that even though I had coloring in there, I didn't show any of you coloring. I hope you're not offended. But I am definitely not one of the better artists out there, so that has something to do with it. Now, this is taking a little bit longer than usual to launch. I'm surprised. But if we go ahead and just select the first template, love, not a bad thing, right? Good thing. You select the type of pen or brush or whatever it is you'd like to use. Let's try a brush. Let's go with a color. And here we go. So, you could definitely see how you could kill some time with this, as well as be really creative and then share artwork with friends, family. It's definitely, I think, a very nice feature. Now, I'm not doing a good job, and I'm laughing because this is absurd what I'm doing here, but it is definitely unique. I am doing a very quick method, which is why I went with the brush that I did, so that I could just speed through my coloring job. But there you have it, love. It's all you need. It's all we need, as opposed to what we've got these days. Anyway, let me back out of that. I am not going to save that for later. Oh, it couldn't load data. So, proving that even the best products aren't perfect, but you already know that if you buy Apple. Anyway, so stock apps, let's get back to that. So I mentioned PenUp. Then we also have, of course, Samsung Gear. If you have any of their watches, any of their gear-related accessories, of course, the ecosystem is there, and Samsung Health is there as well. Where else would it be? In addition, let's see what else we got stock. Verizon, because I did buy the Verizon version. This is the black Verizon version Of course, I didn't have to go with that. I could have gone with unlocked, but I wanted any updates that were specific to Verizon's network, which is why I chose this. The only disadvantage is that had I gone with the unlocked version, I would have had native hotspot with my grandfathered unlimited data plan. So that sucks, a big one. But I still love the phone, so that's the good news. I'm still paying a lot of money for that, 100 gigs a month, but that's definitely better than their current unlimited data, which is really what I think it's now only 14 gigs with hotspot and everything, but that's still more than enough for most users, especially before getting throttled. That's if they're really not already throttling. Not claiming they are, just putting it out there. You tell me what your speeds are like in your neck of the woods. All of that aside, calculator, calendar, standard stuff, camera. Let's talk about those two lenses. Let's talk about what this thing can do, the 4K video. So I go ahead and I say, hey, look at my palm, everybody. Look at that palm. And then I can zoom in even more with the zoom there, zoom back out. In terms of other little, again, cute things, they've got stickers, which I'll never be using, but I'm sure a lot of people will. If you want to apply a sticker, you can. Person's face, you want to make them look like a fool or an animal, whatever it may be, you have that ability. Put some sunglasses on your cat, it can be done. Video, stills, you can see both are there because you've got a video capture button as well as a still capture shutter button right there. And then settings for the stickers. Also want to show you, of course, that 8 megapixel front facing camera. You can see my camera right there filming. What's up? I poke my head in a little bit. You get to see my hair and some of my glasses. That's it. And then they're also telling you can swipe up or down to switch between the front and rear cameras. So I'll show you that right now. Boom, just like that. So cool little feature. And this is part of Samsung maturing and becoming really the game changer. Once upon a time it was Apple. Those days are over. Apple's buying their tricks from Sammy these days. And I never thought I'd see that day, but I am so glad because, Apple had its place. They pushed the envelope. Now the envelope is out there for everyone to play with. And Samsung has become that giant. And this is proof because even with an explosive phone last year, they've come out with a different kind of explosive product here in 2017. Now, in terms of live focus, not really getting into that. That is really true gimmick. Bixby Vision does exactly what Bixby Vision tries to with the S Pen, which is look at something and then tell you what it is. So right here, I've got my trusty old Galaxy Note 2. Let's go ahead and put that in Bixby's Vision. All right, so it has captured it. Now let's go ahead and go with images and see what it pulls up. And it's come up with some things that are not the Galaxy Note 2. So it tried. I give it, credit for the attempt. I am seeing some Galaxy products, but not exactly the Note 2. And this is where it needs more work. And you can see why I'm saying Google goggles on steroids, because they are really going for gold. Let's try the shopping. Get the Note 2 out of here. There, it seems to have worked a little bit better. So, it's really a little bit hit or miss. Where I think Bixby Vision does best is really natively on the phone rather than with the camera. Again, the goggles version, the literal vision, using the camera as its means to interpret data. Now, within the settings, something I want to go through as quickly as possible. We've got picture size. You can see all the different modes available to you when it comes to megapixel count. This is, of course, for the rear camera. Your video size is limited there. Should be, unless I'm going crazy, 4K capable. I'm not sure what changed in the settings there from before. I did have UHD on. Now it's showing me that it's not available. Not sure what I did to change that, but at any rate, it's there. I can assure you of that. You've got your timer, your tracking for autofocus. I'm wondering if I shouldn't need to. Please, brain fart. Hello. I wasn't in the 4:3 aspect ratio, 12 megapixel native. So now that I've done that, our video size should be unlocked, but it's still showing me 1440 by 1080. So I'm not sure why that is occurring, but I can assure you I've been shooting 4K video with this. You can see on the front camera, we have the 8 megapixel setting going. And again, you can see the different modes available. And then video size, now standard out of the box, it's going to be full HD, but you can bump it up to QHD if you desire, which I think is a nice touch. And then there just are a ton of features here. Voice control through Bixby. You've got the floating camera button, quick launch, location tags for geotagging, grid lines if you want them, which I think is great if you're really using this for true video capture, which why not? I mean, you've got the capability. Again, I'm a little bit irked by why this is not permitting me to do this. And you do have RAW and JPEG preferences. I'm not sure what I've done to encourage this, but I am encourageable. At any rate, moving away from that, you kind of get the idea there with the camera. Camera performance has been great. You've got the wide angle. You have the non-wide angle, so you have flexibility. And so far, the images that I have seen with this camera really have been great. I would prefer to take you to the gallery over this. You know, there's a shot of my blue raspberry, and you can just, as tight as I get on that, the detail is solid. And so far, it just, you know, things look good. The G4 I traded in towards this. Nice television that the movers broke. Some lobster right there that's a little blown out, but still looks pretty good. Get in there. Get into that claw. Not bad, right? That 3.5 pound sucker wasn't bad. All right, back out. Let's get out of this. And I have some video on there too. Not sharing it with you. Sorry. It's not happening right now. Still wondering what's going on with it. Oh, look, UHD video is back. I think it's just because I toggled between the zoom. I think that's it. So UHD video is back. And by the way, I forgot to mention optical image stabilization. Hello. Big feature. I mean, having that is critical. No question about it. Full HD, you can get 60 frames per second. I mean, if by some chance they do actually bring us 60p, or just, 60 frames per second for the UHD, I will be very, very impressed. But going ahead and jumping out, other things to point out, I'm not getting into contacts. You'll see my personal contacts. I don't need any of that crap. Their messaging app I've been playing with because I am, of course, accustomed to Google's own messaging application for SMS on the Pixel XL. That's what I've been using for the last basically year since the launch of the Pixel XL. And of course I can install it here, but I wanted to give Samsung a shot, and it's good so far, no problems. I like the notifications. It definitely has its novelty, and that's why Google's stock Messenger app is not on here. I do have Hangouts on here, but that's for a completely different purpose. You know, it's for calling, it's for visual voicemail, all of that good stuff that Samsung isn't going to give me, but Google will. And that's where I really find this phone to be the best of both worlds. Of course, your dialer, straightforward, not too much to show there. Play Music, Play Store, Samsung Notes, the settings, shortcuts to pretty much everything. Even though this thing has a laundry list of capabilities, they've made the list fairly short for getting into them. And that's because you have the search capability, you have Bixby's capability, you have everything, okay? And that's what's critical about this. Other things that are noteworthy, I've mentioned Bixby a little bit. You can unlock the phone with your voice with Bixby, which is great. And I'm just, learning more and more about what Bixby can do here. Again, the fact that it's one-dimensional on my fridge, the voice isn't even the same, and then it gets so deep here on the Note 8 is, I think, for any customer, is not going to be a welcoming thing. But they will be happy that they have it here on their smart device they carry with them everywhere, because it is that much better than the traditional Google Home application. That doesn't mean in terms of doing other things like casting. I mean, that's what Google Home has really become about. But Bixby can do a hell of a lot more than any other assistant that I have seen. Otherwise, pretty much all the applications I have installed on here are, additional ones that I've brought to the table because I need them. And as I've mentioned, Nest, Hue, Sonos, Ring, my YouTube Creator app, Samsung's themes. I haven't talked about that. Let's go ahead. So the Verizon bloatware, can't stand it, right? Long touch it with the S Pen or your finger, and you get the option to either add apps to that folder because it is an actual folder. You can delete the folder, or you can select multiple items. I'm going to go ahead and delete the folder because I do hate that crap. And it's telling me right now it will be deleted. The apps inside the folder will still be available. You can hide apps on here. That's another thing I like about Samsung. I'm not going to touch on privacy here today, but they do give you an element of privacy that no other manufacturer does, which I think is a good thing. You don't necessarily want, if you're handing your phone to a friend, a child, a stranger. I mean, I don't hand my phone to strangers, but I know plenty of people that do. You don't necessarily want them to have access to all of your data, and Samsung was smart enough to realize that, something they started doing a few years ago, and it carries over here. I don't use their actual email software. I stick with Gmail and, of course, the little bit of Yahoo that still exists in my spam life. And that pretty much speaks for itself. I've gone over, web browsing performance capability. It's good. I mean, there's nothing to dislike about this phone. You just got to keep it protected because as well built as it is with that Gorilla Glass blanket over the front and back, you still need, in spite of that Corning protection, more protection in my opinion. And right now, this is the case and screen protector that I'm going with. That may change over time, but I am satisfied thus far with what it can do. And again, when it comes to web browsing and media consumption, very good. I mean, the 6 gigs of RAM, I've yet to see this thing hiccup. Hi, Bixby. Hi, Bixby. Max brightness.
Got it. I've set it to the max now.
I mean, you just have, oh great, Bixby experience. You just have so much going on with this phone, and you'll learn more and more every day, every minute that you spend with it in terms of features, shortcuts. And, another interesting thing is that even though they've done away with the physical buttons, they haven't really, because when you double tap here at the bottom, I have to actually wake the phone up to do that. Always on screen is there. You do have quick access, of course, to the phone and camera, but then you also do have quick access to a physical home button like you would traditionally. Now, you do have to unlock the screen. Here it's looking for my pattern or my eyeballs. I'll go ahead and give it the facial recognition that Apple thinks is so amazing. And, of course, it unlocked. And that home button that you see there is accessible and as a double tap feature. So really, even though the physical button has gone away, it hasn't really. So, I mean, all around, this video is at 28.5 minutes. You have no idea how many takes I had to do because either people texted me or some other crap, even though it's after 4 o'clock in the morning. Jesus Christ, take a break, folks. But again, just a fantastic phone. S Pen right here. Your speaker, which this was one of the things I was really concerned with, and overall quality very good. Very little distortion, very loud for a single speaker. I feel like this is very much an Apple move, but I mean, even on the iPhone X, they've got 2 speakers, so can't help Samsung on that one, but the quality's good. That's the upside. Your Type-C charger, your headphone jack, your Bixby button, which you can remap if you hate Bixby. Remember that. Volume rocker, the dual 12-megapixel cameras, flash, your fingerprint scanner, your power button right here. At top of the phone gives you access to your SIM card slot as well as micro SD. Of course, I'd have to pop this off to show you that. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, again, just a big slab of glass, fits comfortably in the hand, does everything that it should. The battery was the big main concern for the majority of users out there. And I have to tell you, I've had no problem with the battery life whatsoever. Keep in mind, you do want to condition this battery. Keep it, Samsung has made it very clear, you want to keep this thing charged between 50 and 80 to 90%. You never want to take it all the way down. You never want to charge it all the way up. And that kind of applies to most phones these days, especially with built-in batteries. If you want to shorten the lifespan of your phone, that's a good way of doing it, because eventually that battery will be a dud and you will need to replace it. But anyway, that pretty much rounds out my software and overall update, second update for the Galaxy Note 8. Hope all of you enjoyed the video. Again, the S Pen, the gorgeous screen, the 6 gigs of RAM, all of these features, multimedia beast between the screen size and storage capacity for video and stills, and really just connectivity at its finest. Samsung has not disappointed me in a single way. Even Bixby, that I thought was garbage, has started to impress me. So that says a lot about how my view of the Note 8 has changed as I've spent more time with it. And then, of course, having something that's water resistant, being able to spend 30 minutes in up to 1.5 meters of depth of water, certainly a good thing. If you drop this in the toilet, it's kind of gross. I'm not, but that seems to be the most frequent thing. I'm more worried about dropping it in the pool, not the toilet, because I don't even know how people do it. But boy, I know that's one of the most common places for people to drop a phone, which tells you how often you're probably getting calls while people are on the pot. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Again, great device. I think it's worth every penny, especially if you got the trade-in like I did, or at least I'm hoping. I have sent in my trade-in phone. Samsung better not screw with me. But all of those things aside, the Note 8 is everything that the Note 7 should have been. Explosive without literally being on fire. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, or don't, whatever, it's cool. If you made it this far and you didn't like it, then something's wrong with you. And of course, please feel free to subscribe. Later.